Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Also, we're going to be launching our exclusive Dreamers Pro community next week. So if you guys want early access to that to receive a one-time offer, that's only available to people on the waiting list. Please make sure you go ahead and do so. We have that pinned in the comments. We got about 500 sign-ups so far. So if you want to be a part of that, check that out. Anyway, let's get into today's topic. So yesterday was a crazy day, right? It was a crazy day. We actually ended up producing a show that was centered on the comments from Chris Haynes after the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA Cup. And it was really centered on some things that Darvin Ham apparently told the team. Essentially, what Chris Haynes told the team was after the team had finished winning the cup, he told them that they shouldn't pop any champagne bottles or do any celebrations in the locker room. They should just move on to their next destination. And that was deemed as kind of a shot at his former team, the Lakers, where last year when they won the first NBA Cup, that's exactly what they did. They celebrated in the locker room. They poured champagne all over each other. Hell, they even had a banner night where they hung up that banner. It was unbelievable, right? It was unbelievable. So we did a show about that, reacted to it. But after that, another story came out, right? And this was centered on some quotes now from former Lakers head coach Darvin Ham, who was essentially calling out LeBron and the organization for his firing, and essentially said that if it was a different coach or any other organization, he would have been retained to be the NBA coach of that team. But because it was the Lakers, they ended up firing him. So this is the article that we want to get into here today. But before we even get into that, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. With the year almost over, I am super excited about creating memories with family and friends by attending various plays, theater shows, and sporting events. And when it comes time to look for tickets, Game Time is my go-to. Game Time is one of the most reliable marketplaces for last-minute tickets to the most popular events in sports, music, and theater in more than 60 cities across the United States and Canada. Game Time saves me money, time, and stress. It finds the best deals and guarantees that the tickets are legit, and it makes sure that the tickets are delivered to me on time. Game Time Picks is my favorite tool. It cuts through the fluff and shows you the best deals on great seats near you so you don't waste time searching. For example, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming game between the Lakers and the Clippers. Here's what I like to do. First, I select an all-in price to see the total ticket price up front, so I'm not surprised by the additional fees at checkout. Next, I click on Game Time Picks to check out their curated deals. And finally, I pick the ticket I want. I choose the cheapest deal, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So I want to read from a Fadeaway War article, where it has a headline saying Darvin Ham flames the Lakers and says he doesn't get enough credit for his success as a head coach. It continues on. It says Darvin Ham calls out the Lakers for making him the scapegoat and says he did a good job as a head coach. In the aftermath of his second straight NBA Emirates Cup championship, Bucks assistant Darvin Ham reflected on his tenure with the Purple and Gold. As he looks back on it, Ham feels that he deserves more credit for taking them to the conference finals in 2023 and that he would have gotten an extension just about anywhere else. To do as well as I did, I swear to God, anywhere else, I'm probably looking at an extension. I'm not talking feelings, just facts. They go from not making the playoffs to the conference finals, and we won the in-season tournament. People always talk about us losing to Denver, but they don't talk about how we got to Denver. We beat a kick-ass young squad in Memphis and beat Stephen Curry in Golden State. Darvin Ham stated started out as an assistant coach with the Bucks and worked right alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo for years. In the summer of 2022, Ham was officially hired as the Lakers head coach to replace the championship-winning Frank Vogel. At first, Ham brought a sense of togetherness to the team that was struggling with the time. He tried to mend the relationship with Russell Westbrook and establish a brand new culture in the locker room. During Ham's tenure, there were many ups and downs for the Lakers, including some miserable times when the franchise was at rock bottom, but Ham did have success as well, especially during the 2023 playoffs when he helped lead the team to the Western Conference Finals. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things there. What are my thoughts on this? Okay, what are my thoughts on this? First of all, Darvin Ham does have a point. Right? He helped contribute to the success that the Lakers had. The fact of the matter is, if you look at his tenure with the Lakers, they made it to the Western Conference Finals, albeit after they made some they made it to the Western Conference Final that year. Then the next year, they won the NBA Cup, and I think they made some mid-season moves. I think that was in last year. They were able to kind of make a push. I think this is even when LeBron was out, AD was playing well. They made a push into the playoffs. And they played the reigning champions in the Denver Nuggets very, very close. Just ultimately, they came up short, right? But there were a lot of those games where they were winnable. Now, where those were winnable games. Now, am I saying that Darvin Ham is a perfect coach? No. No one is saying that. Are there areas where he could have really stepped up to the plate and delivered? Of course he could. Right, he was heavily criticized for his lineups, not emphasizing enough to get Anthony Davis the ball, especially in that game in Denver when AD looked like he was going to have 50 that game, and then in the second half they just totally went away from him. That's coaching. That's also on the leadership of the team of LeBron James, and that's also on Anthony Davis himself for not demanding the ball. So I can understand that Laker fans were upset with him, but to just fire him altogether, and then when you look at who they replaced him with, is like this. This is absolutely nonsensical, right? That was a nonsensical decision, and I'll tell you why. At least with Darvin Ham, you can justify the hire by at the very least, saying, number one, there's precedent for assistant coaches being hired as head coaches. I think we saw that with the Nets. We saw that with the with the Boston Celtics. We saw that, I think, with the coach in Milwaukee. So there was a pattern out there that existed of assistant coaches becoming head coaches. But in the case of them hiring JJ Redick, they hired someone with absolutely zero coaching experience anywhere, and then tried to sell it like as if they were hiring Pat Riley. So if you felt like JJ Redick was Pat Riley, why did you go after Dan Hurley at all? Right? Why did you go after him at all? So when you look at the Lakers firing Darvin Ham, looking at what he was able to accomplish, then to just go out there and hire JJ Redick, it left a lot of people scratching their head. That's number one. And number two, given the fact that JJ Redick is their head coach, what we have to see is that JJ Redick has to do a better job with this roster than Darvin Ham did. Because if JJ is not able to do better with this roster, then how can we say that hiring JJ Redick was a smart decision? Now, obviously, people said that there was a disconnect in the locker room. They didn't like Darvin Ham for his personality, or whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be. Well, now you got the guy that you like. But at the end of the day, the only thing that Laker fans are going to care about is results, not whether or not you like a particular coach. Some coaches are disciplinarians. Look at Greg Popovich. He's not up there to babysit you and play with you and all of that, but he was able to get results. He would coach you hard, like he did Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard, but he has the results to show for it. So if the Lakers want somebody that they're going to get along with, that's fantastic. But ultimately, the ultimate measure of whether or not this was a successful move is to ensure that you actually go further with JJ Redick at the helm than you did with Darvin Ham. Because if you don't, then I think people that are in support of Darvin Ham are going to say, look, this was an idiotic move. So, and by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so. We're at a pretty seminal moment in the lore or the history of the NBA, right? Pretty seminal moment, because now it seems to be that things are on the decline rapidly. There was a statistic that came out there that said the NBA has lost, I believe, half of its audience since 2013. That's insane. Like, that is insane when you think about just how long the NBA has been around. So it took them decades to build up an audience that essentially they lost half of in 1 decade. That is very, very alarming. But Adam Silver seems to think that everything is just fine and all of that. But given the fact that ratings are down, given the fact that the last 2 All-Star games were an absolute disaster, the year before last, it was the lowest rated All-Star game ever in terms of viewership, like ever. And then the one after that did a little bit better, but it was still a low. It was horrendous, right? It was horrendous. And the NBA seems to be in desperation and panic mode. And this year they decided to opt for a format that I've spent probably about 30 to 60 seconds really trying to understand. That's how bad it is. That mean, as someone that really loves the NBA, as someone that really used to get excited about All-Star Weekend, they used to vote in All-Star Weekend for my favorite player to go to All-Star Weekend, get excited for what is it? The 3-point shooting contest, the slam dunk contest, which was must-see TV, and of course the All-Star game. For it to go from what it used to be to what it is now, where to the point I don't even care, like I have zero interest, says a lot. But apparently this new a format that the NBA is proposing, not only do NBA fans not like it, but NBA players are actually saying that they think is horrible. And they're coming out in droves to say it. And one of the players that really made a lot of headlines yesterday was Kevin Durant himself, who said that, look, I think this thing is terrible. So for those of you who didn't hear what KD had to say, want to play what he had to say for you now. It's only about a 30-second clip. So take a listen to what KD had to say. I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
The new All-Star game format?
Is it like 4 different teams?
Yeah, 4 teams, 6 players each. I think they're drafted by like Kenny and Shaq and Chuck, and then it's like a tournament style first to 40 points.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it. It's terrible. All-Star game, formats changing, all the formats are terrible in my opinion. And we should just go back to East-West, like just play a game. I think we've been trying to, bring that flair back somehow with the All-Star weekend, but I think we just keep it traditional. But we'll see how this one works. You never know. I might be wrong. I'm just another guy with an opinion, but we'll see how it works.
So you heard Kevin Durant's comments there, but it doesn't stop there, right? So this morning I was actually doing research, and it seems like there are more players that have come out and said that they're not fans of it. And these players are Devin Booker and Anthony Davis. And we actually got this information from a Fadeaway World article. So let me get into what this article had to say here. It has the following headline. It says, Anthony Davis and Devin Booker slam new All-Star format. It continues on. The NBA announced sweeping changes to the format of the 2025 All-Star Game to increase competitiveness and give fans a more engaging product to watch after the last 2 All-Star Games were widely panned as 2 of the worst ever. Likely participants Anthony Davis and Devin Booker discussed the new format and weren't thrilled about it, with Davis saying most players don't like the format either. I don't know. I don't really like it. We'll see how it goes this year and see if they change that or not. I think they can go back to East versus West before teams and multiple games. I don't think a lot of players are going to like that personally, but we'll see. It then continued on. Booker expressed his desire to maintain the heritage of the classic All-Star game. It's changed. It's different. I'm more into nostalgia. I agree with Kev. I like the East versus West with your team, with your own team jersey. I like the old jerseys. It's whatever. It's tough. It's tough to be a part of the season. Usually the All-Star break or right after is the home stretch when you're gearing up. I say most guys going into the game are already dealing with something. It's tough, but it's kind of an important part of the NBA tradition. It's always been a highlighted weekend, but things aren't just changing and evolving. So you have to take it for what it is. So these are what these 2 guys had to say here. Okay. These are what these 2 guys had to say. If I am Adam Silver, I am horrified. I am horrified by these comments. Absolutely horrified. because when you have players that are part of the product that are refusing to endorse an initiative like this, what are the fans supposed to feel? If the chef feels that the meal tastes horrible, what are the consumers supposed to think? If the chef comes out and says, this is what you ordered, I don't think it's all that good, but since you ordered it, here it is. How are you going to feel about eating that meal? If the chef has absolutely zero, as a matter of fact, he's saying that he doesn't even like it. Are you going to feel good about having that plate of food? Of course not. That's who we are. And then the owner of the restaurant is sitting there saying like, yo, what is going on? This is where we are. And Adam Silver has twerked it up for these players over the last decade or so, acquiescing to any request that they had just for them to turn around and say, you know what? Nah, sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. We're not feeling it. We're not feeling it. We're not a fan of it. We're not vibing with it. We're not jiving with it. So Adam Silver must be sitting somewhere and saying to himself, yo, but I did everything for you guys. This is what happens when you're a nice guy. Nice guys always get walked all over. It's just reality. People may not like people that are forceful and tough, but you respect them. A nice guy, of course you'll like him. Do I think NBA players dislike Adam Silver? No. As a matter of fact, I think they like him. But do they respect him? I don't believe they respect him at all. And it's evident. It is evident. This is the problem when you're nice and when you're trying to be nice in a position of authority. This is the problem. Adam Silver thought that these guys were his friends. They're not his friends. This is business, buddy. Not to say that you need to be a jerk, but you need to be respected. And they think he's a joke. And they think his initiatives are a joke. And that's the reason why they feel so comfortable saying what they're saying. They don't respect him. They don't respect him. Whose fault is that? It's him, because he's the leader and he set the environment for it. He thought he will, oh, I'm being nice. Oh, I'm being nice. It ain't going to work, buddy. Because it ain't going to work. And you can see it right now blowing up in his face. And I'm sure Adam Silver did not celebrate when he heard these players make these comments. But this is where we are. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so. The NBA seems to be in a pickle here. Okay, they seem to be in a pickle. A lot of people are not happy with them. And one of those people is Stephen A. Smith. So what happened? Yesterday, they produced a segment that was centered on some comments that Kevin Durant made when he was asked about the new format of All-Star Weekend, which is some crazy format where they have 4 teams consisting of, I think, 8 players. Then they're going to play each other. Whoever scores 4, just like nobody even knows what's going on. I haven't been paying attention to it. So when they brought the comments of what Kevin Durant had to say to the panel, one would have thought that Stephen A. Smith was actually going to criticize the NBA for even proposing such a controversial format. But instead, and to be fair to him, he already did the show when he criticized him and said that he doesn't like it and he thinks it's horrible and all of that on ESPN and also on his channel. But instead, Stephen A. Smith decided to take his grievances in a totally different direction. And he decided that the people that really needed to be called out are the NBA players themselves, because they are the main reason that the NBA is out here trying to do this, because they themselves refuse to compete in these All-Star weekends. And when I tell you he went off, he absolutely went off on these dudes. So what we want to do is we want to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say in response to Kevin Durant and these guys. And I'm going to come back and continue with the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
I think that I don't blame Kevin Durant for feeling that way. But my whole point is tell the whole story. The players have ruined All-Star Weekend. It's their fault that this is happening. You think Adam Silver and the NBA in concert with the Players Association want to be huddling for weeks, if not months, trying to come up with different formats for All-Star Weekend? All you have to do is go out there and play with effort. and not have it be a glorified layup line or shooting contest. They play harder in the summertime, training amongst themselves than they do in front of thousands of fans in an arena and millions watching for a star-studded All-Star Weekend and event. They have shamed the game of basketball. They have shamed the event. It is an absolute embarrassment, and I know it's not popular to say, but damn it, I'm Stephen A. I'm going to say it. I have absolutely, positively, I'm sorry, I apologize to the NBA. I love me some Adam Silver. I love me the league office. I appreciate the effort that they put forth. But these players that have shown up on All-Star, I'm not talking about the three-point shooting contest. The slam dunk contest is an atrocity. And the All-Star game is even worse. The lack of effort that they have shown has been such a disgrace. I personally have no desire to be in attendance for it. It is an embarrassment. And just so you know, Doggy, as an aside, I'm not playing. I'm serious. At some point in time, I'm going to have my own. I'm going to sponsor my own damn slam dunk contest nationwide. I believe I can go throughout the streets of America and find 5 to 10 elite slam dunkers in this country that would do 10 times a better job than the slam dunk contest at NBA All-Star Weekend and the All-Star game itself. It is all on the players. If you show up and just compete with one another, none of this is happening. This is not Adam Silver's fault. This is not the league's fault. This is the players who basically have said, you know what? We don't feel like the NBA caters enough to us, so we don't give a damn. And as a result, we are going to wink to one another, even though Dr. J, Larry Bird, and all of those guys came talking to them and talking about how their predecessors put importance to this game and stuff. They ignored it, the winks of the world, and they'd go on the court and they play with no effort whatsoever. It is embarrassing, and they should be ashamed of how they have sullied the NBA product. They should be ashamed of themselves.
You do your slam dunk contest, do it outside in New York City.
So you heard what he had to say. Essentially what Stephen A. Smith is saying is that it's the player's fault. And I think that, yes, it's the player's fault. Certainly, it's the player's fault. But I think it's the player's fault and it's the commissioner's fault as well, because he's fostered this environment. What do we keep hearing? This would never happen under David Stern. This was never happen under David Stern. The word on David Stern is that he ruled with an iron fist. You may not like him, but you respect him. And if I want to be a leader, if I'm a leader, I want to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy that everybody likes that they have absolutely zero respect for. I want to be the guy that they respect. And that doesn't seem to be in abundance when we're talking about the relationship between Adam Silver and the players. It doesn't seem to be there. Hell, these players don't even respect the Pantheon greats. Last year, they got Larry Bird to go in there and try to talk to them and coax them up to actually play hard. They didn't even listen to him. They didn't even listen to him. And apparently what this is about is that the NBA is getting a lot of money from these All-Star weekends and the players are not getting a big enough cut. And because they're not getting a big enough cut, we don't want to be a part of it. Something that has to do with that, right? The fans don't even matter anymore. You know, the pride that players used to take in All-Star Weekend doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And the irony of all of this is that you have some of these crazy-ass NBA fans that run around and think this is the greatest era of basketball we've ever seen. You must be joking. You have to be joking. You are joking. This era of players is so great that they are contributing to the decline of the sport. Newsflash, the NBA has lost about 48% of its audience since 2013. It took the league, 50, 60 years to build it up, and then to lose half of its audience in 1 decade, and you guys want to tell me that this is the greatest era of players ever? Are you even being serious? Are you even being serious? The NBA is holding on for dear life to players like Stephen Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant, and they're looking around and saying to themselves, who's going to carry this league after these guys are gone? Because these new jokers don't seem to care at all. And y'all want to bring it that, oh, this is the greatest era. Y'all can't even be serious. Y'all talking about we done with the 90s. We ain't even start with the 2020s. We not, like, are you even being serious right now? This is the worst era ever. It's not even like, by all metrics, we can all agree with this. Even certain players are out there trying to twerk it up for the young boys like Kevin Gilbert Arenas. Like, well, man, these guys, I'm thinking they stupid. They taking all these threes and only scoring 2 more points per game. I'm beginning to believe they stupid. It's like, duh. But you got all these dudes out here trying to hype them up and say, man, this is the best thing since sliced bread. These players are off the chain. It's something else. Did you see the way the skills and all of that stuff? They don't care. These dudes don't care. And do you know what? This year is going to be another embarrassment. It's going to be another embarrassment. We all know what it's going to be. We already know. Even the elder statesmen of the game can't even get these young boys to care. That's where we are. And I believe the NBA is a microcosm of society itself. This is representative of where we are with men today. I'm just keeping it a buck. The NBA is just a little small example of a larger issue. Just keeping it 100 with you guys. No respect for the game. No respect for the past. All about the bag, no integrity, no love, no passion. Just a bunch of foolishness and frivolousness. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so. Folks, depending on the order in which you're seeing this shows, all hell is breaking loose. The NBA is now trying to propose some new all-star game format that players are coming out and criticizing. Players like Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant are all saying that they're not fans of it. And somewhere right now, whatever hair that's left on David Stern's head when he doesn't shave or doesn't get a haircut, he's pulled that one out too. He is out there freaking out like, yo, what is going on? And players just keep, you see, at first, it was the fans complaining. Right? But nobody really cares about the fans. But now you're starting to have media personalities and players coming out and saying that, yo, look, we got a problem here. We got a serious problem. And one of these players is a very popular player by the name of Charles Barkley. Just yesterday, I was going through the internet and I came across an article that said, from Fadeaway said, Charles Barkley reveals how he'd fix. In a chat on the Dan Patrick show, Suns legend Charles Barkley went off on the modern state of NBA basketball. He explained how the product has dipped on the court and how the new style of play has been to the detriment of the fan experience. I think we have to do something, said Barkley. I watched the Warriors play the Mavericks, and it was one of the worst games I've seen. I think it was 130 to 140, 130. They went up and down the court and shot threes. And I was like, man, this is awful to watch if you're just going to have a three-point shooting contest every night. I think we have to figure out something because the most important part of this game is the fans. If they're not watching, you can't keep your head in the sand. You got to say, what are we doing? It's frustrating for me because all of these games are now a three-point shooting contest and a free throw contest, and I don't like it. They get mad, but I don't want to see a three-point shooting contest every night. That ain't fun. So that's what Charles Barkley had to say. But I want to take it a step further because some people may feel, oh, the problem is too big. The problem is this and this and this. What's actually happening? But I believe the number one culprit for the current state of affairs with the NBA is Adam Silver himself. Because Adam Silver seems to believe that there's nothing wrong with the product. As a matter of fact, he endorses it. And during a sit-down interview that he had with Kevin Garnett tried to plead with him to bring more balance to the game, that there has to be defense. It can't be so offensive-minded. And Adam Silver then proceeded to completely shun Kevin Durant's recommendations and say, no, the fans love it. So what we want to do is want to play what Kevin Garnett had to say to Adam Silver, and I want you guys to listen to what he had to say in response. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what these guys had to say to one another, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what KG had to say to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver there.
Is the high scoring working? Is speeding the game up? I asked this with a follow-up because I want to know, will there ever be a time in our lives where the hand check comes back? Is that going? Is this kind of the wave in which we're going now?
I'll answer it coming from the fan in me, which is, and maybe data comes into play here because I can look at television ratings and other measures of interest. There was a point, I believe, probably in around the late 90s when the game became too physical. And I think we lost some of
For our viewers, you mean?
Yeah, and I think for our fans, from the aesthetic enjoyment of the game, where it de-emphasized the particular skill a player had and maybe weighted too heavily physicality, where a big, strong player could come in and prevent a incredibly skilled player from doing those kinds of things. I think of, not that he's a small guy, but a smaller player like Steph Curry can do on the floor. I think that when you think of some of his ability to shoot, his ability to move through the paint, that if guys could just bang him and knock him to the ground, as that was once the case in the league, I don't think that would be a better brand of basketball. I also think we have to find the right balance, because I know when I sit in the stands or talk to friends sometime, they want to bring back, and we've tried to bring back a little bit more of the physicality. Like, I think people like to see hard defense. I mean, it goes a little bit before to what you and I are talking about, like touch and feel. Like, I don't think either people like that idea that guys can go through unscathed and like you're protecting your star players. And in fact, we made some changes this season where sort of, I don't know, the unnatural basketball moves, you know what I'm referring to, and where those were being, players were gaming the system in a way. And they, brilliant players playing by the rules, had found ways where those were becoming defensive fouls. So we reset this year, which is something you got to do in the offseason. You don't want to change mid-course, but we made it clear, those players, that that's no longer going to be a foul. And of course, because they're the greatest players, they adjust and they find other ways to score.
So you heard what Kevin Garnett had to say to Adam Silver. Adam Silver doesn't really seem to think there's a problem. I honestly believe that the NBA feels like there's no issue because they're watching Instagram Reels and TikTok Reels. I think they're using that as a measurement of success. I don't think they're speaking to any real NBA fans. If the NBA sat down and said, you know what, we want to hold a forum and we're going to invite 1,000 NBA fans. 1,000 NBA fans. And what we're going to do is we're going to sit them down and poll them and listen to what they have to say, take a weekend out, and just really hear out what NBA fans have to say. We're going to do it. We're going to do virtually no talking, and we're going to give fans the center stage and a microphone to voice their grievances at the with the NBA product. I believe that at the end of that forum or that event, the NBA will walk away feeling like, bro, we're totally off mark. Or like we thought it was this and it's something totally different. Because I think that these guys, like, you listen to Adam Silver, it's like he's living in the clouds. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. The fans seem to love it. It's like, no, they don't. This is the whole point. They don't. When you even have the Boston Celtics coach, Joe Mazzulla, coming out and saying, I don't watch NBA games. What does that say? What does that say? What does that? It's like walking into a restaurant and you ask the waiter, hey, man, what do you recommend on the menu? What's good? And he's like, nothing is good, but you can have this. It's like, huh? What? It's like, but he's like, is there anything? It's like, the food isn't really good here, but I work here, so I got to say it's good. You can have that. You'd be like, what's going on here? That's where we are. He's in total denial of it all. Total denial. And when you have important voices from the sport coming out there and saying that, you need to take heed. You need to take heed. But Adam Silver seems to not even want to listen. And that's sad. And by the way, we're going to be launching an exclusive Dreamers Pro community very, very soon. And if you want to be a part of it to ensure that you receive a one-time offer, please make sure you join the waiting list. We have over 300 people signed up already. So if you want to receive that one-time offer, only the people on the waiting list, please make sure you go ahead and do so.